Published, 21:50 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 3rd of April 2019. Updated, 21:50 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 3rd of April 2019. Two of Lori Loughlin's young fans were spotted holding masks of her face and chanting, "Free Aunt Becky," outside her highly anticipated college bribery scandal court hearing. Lianna Ferrara, 20, and Alyssa Stevens, 21, skipped class at Boston's Bentley University on Wednesday so they could catch a glimpse of the actress as she made her first appearance in federal court. The two Bentley University juniors screamed out as Loughlin arrived at the court with her fashion designer husband Massimo Loughli. They are both accused of paying $500,000 to get their two daughters into the University of Southern California as fake rowing recruits. Lianna Ferrara, 20, and Alyssa Stevens, 21, skipped class at Boston's Bentley University on Wednesday so they could catch a glimpse of Lori Loughlin. The two Bentley University juniors screamed out as Lori Loughlin arrived at the court with her fashion designer husband Massimo Loughli. Pictured above. As children we were both huge fans of Aunt Becky. She was kind of like our childhood mom, Alyssa Stevens said of Loughlin. According to people, I'm not saying what she did wasn't wrong. It was. I got rejected from so many schools and what they did really wasn't fair. But everyone is acting so surprised. I don't know why. I mean, rich people do corrupt things. Her friend Lianna Ferrara added that while she's a fan of the Full House actress, she gets mad thinking about how hard she studied to get into college. I remember staying up really late studying for my SATs that I took myself, she said. It doesn't mean I am not a fan of Loughlin's though. The 53-year-old actress didn't interact with the two fans on her way into court but is said to have smiled and mouthed, "Thank you," as she was leaving. Loughlin and her fellow Hollywood star Felicity Huffman were among those to face court on Wednesday, charged with participating in the largest college admissions fraud in U.S. history. They are by far the biggest names among the 50 coaches, test administrators and parents to have been ensnared in the sensational college admissions scandal uncovered by Operation Varsity Blues. Both women stand accused of participating in the scheme that facilitated cheating on college entrance exams and the bribing of corrupt coaches and college administrators to falsely designate applicants athletes. They have been charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud and mail fraud. Each crime carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, 3 years supervised release and a fine of $250,000 or twice the gross gain or loss, whichever is greater. Loughlin, who on Tuesday was spotted posing with fans and signing autographs, glad-handed the prosecution when she faced court, in a remarkable charm offensive when she and her husband, Massimo Loughli, 55, were called to take their place before Judge M. Paige Kelly. Loughlin first reached across to shake hands with prosecutors Eric Rosen, Justin O'Connell, and Leslie Wright. The two fans were spotted holding masks of her face and screaming, "Free Aunt Becky," outside her highly anticipated college bribery scandal court hearing. The college juniors skipped class at Boston's Bentley University on Wednesday so they could catch a glimpse of the actress. Others standing outside the court were less enthusiastic about Loughlin's appearance and were spotted holding signs reading, "Lori PLS pay my tuition." After you get out of prison, of course. Elegantly dressed in a tan pantsuit with gray sweater, she appeared remarkably relaxed. She answered clearly that she understood her charges, her right to remain silent and desire to waive a preliminary hearing. Her husband did likewise. Huffman had arrived at the courthouse mid-morning, clutching her brother's hand. Her husband William H. Macy was not by her side. Where Loughlin was convivial, Huffman was somber. She sat head bowed and read through the conditions of her bond alongside her Boston-based attorney, Martin Murphy, as she waited for her moment to be called forward to sign them. After she pursed her lips, took off her glasses, and swiftly left the room. Those conditions, the same for all the parents, include limited travel within America for personal purposes and international travel only with court approval for significant business dealings. All of the parents' bonds are to remain unchanged. $1 million for Loughlin and her husband, $250,000 for Huffman. A total of 15 parents, including Huffman and Loughlin, had been expected to make their first court appearances this afternoon. But moments before this afternoon's hearing was due to start, one of the parents due to appear filed a motion indicating he intended to plead guilty to charges of conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud. The actresses were charged after Operation Varsity Blues exposed them as part of the largest college admissions scheme in U.S. history. Prosecutors are adamant Huffman and Loughlin will face some jail time whether or not they enter a guilty or not guilty plea. A court sketch shows Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin facing a judge where they were read their charges of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Loughlin turned on the charm when she and her husband, Massimo Giandelli, 55, were called to take their place before Judge M. Page Kelly at Wednesday's hearing. The couple are pictured leaving the courthouse. Felicity Huffman left the federal court in Boston Wednesday hand-in-hand with her brother Moore Huffman Jr. Her husband William H. Macy was not present and is not charged. Peter Sartorio, 53, is the first of the 33 parents ensnared in Operation Varsity Blues to indicate such an intention. His appearance has been delayed until the end of the month as a result. Two further parents due to appear today have had their court dates postponed. Entrepreneur Jane Buckingham, 50, and CEO Devin Sloan, 53, both filed motions requesting extensions. Parents Gregory and Amy Colburn appeared separately to face an additional charge, as well as conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud. The couple from Palo Alto have been indicted on charges of money laundering. Between them they stand accused of throwing down more than $3.3 million to get their kids in the side door to some of the most prestigious universities in the country. A further 15 appeared last Friday. Loughlin received a star-studded welcome after touching down in Boston Tuesday, smiling as she posed for photos and signed autographs when she was greeted by fans at Boston Logan International Airport. The couple allegedly paid out $500,000 to guarantee their daughters Isabella, 20, and Olivia, 19, places in the University of South California by having the girls fraudulently designated athletic recruits. Both won places as row crew recruits despite the fact that the closest they ever got to the sport was being photographed on an ergometer in pictures sent by their father to scheme mastermind Rick Singer, 58, in support of the fraudulent applications. Loughlin and her fashion designer husband allegedly paid $500,000 to get their daughters Olivia Jade, left, and Isabella, right, into USC. Felicity Huffman's daughter Georgia and Sophia, left in January with their parents, seemed to be unaware of the scandal to have Proctor take her daughter's test. William H. Macy has not been charged in the scheme. Loughlin and Giandelli both had bonds of $1 million set by federal court in L.A. Huffman's was set at $250,000. These conditions are expected to remain unchanged by the Boston judge. Huffman's husband William H. Macy, 69, has avoided any charges, though telephone conversations recorded by the FBI suggest that he was well aware of the scheme and his wife's alleged participation. Huffman allegedly paid $15,000 to have corrupt test proctor Mark Riddell, 36, take her daughter, Sophia's, said Riddell, who has admitted his guilt in a plea agreement reached in February, would either sit exams for the applicant or correct their answers. The tests were sat at a center that Singer claimed to control. Singer advised parents to obtain extra time by getting a letter from a doctor or psychologist advising that their child has learning disabilities of some kind. Singer told FBI agents that he met with the former desperate housewife, Huffman, 56, and her shameless spouse, Macy, at their home in Los Angeles to explain how the cheating scheme worked. In October 2017, Huffman's daughter, Sophia, 19, received a letter advising that she had been approved for 100% extended time. Huffman immediately forwarded the letter to Singer with the words, "Hooray! She got it," but the alleged plan was nearly over before it began when a school counselor informed Huffman that the school would be the test center and that she herself would act as proctor. Huffman forwarded this information with the message, "RRO. Looks like my daughter's high school wants to provide own proctor." Manuel and Elizabeth Enriquez, facing charges in a nationwide college admissions cheating scheme for paying for their daughter to get into Northwestern University, enter federal court on Wednesday in Boston investor John Wilson arrives at federal court in Boston with his wife Leslie on Wednesday to face charges of wire fraud. Toby McFarlane also appeared in federal court in Boston after facing charges in the nationwide college admissions bribery scandal. Singer replied that they would speak about it. In subsequent emails, the actress allegedly agreed to tell the high school that her daughter would take the exam at a different center and across a weekend so that she would not miss any school. Ultimately, Sophia scored 1420 on her SAT, some 400 above the score she had achieved on a practice test. Huffman was recorded almost immediately entertaining the idea of doing the same for her younger daughter, 17-year-old Georgia, though she worried that the girl would insist on sitting the test twice regardless of what she got, as she was academically driven. In November 2018, she allegedly confirmed that she wanted to go ahead with the scheme, but only after her daughter first took the exam on her own, without cheating. Singer told law enforcement that when parents insisted on this, he would typically direct Riddell to ensure that their second score didn't increase by more than 30% from the baseline, to avoid any suspicion. According to Macy, they were talking about applying places like Georgetown. In the end, Huffman and Macy decided not to go through with the cheating scheme for their younger daughter. In contrast, Loughlin and her husband stand accused of enthusiastically participating in the scheme for both their daughters. In April 2016, Loughli sent an email to Singer, copying his wife, in which he said he wanted to fully understand the game plan and make sure we have a roadmap for success as it relates to our daughter and getting her into a school other than ASU. In Singer's view, Olivia's academic qualifications were at or just below the low end of USC's admissions standards. In September 2016, Loughli sent Singer a picture of Isabella, 20, on a rowing machine to assist with the creation of a false athletic profile. 2 days after she received a conditional acceptance, Loughli received an invoice for a purported donation of $50,000 to Donna Heinel, Senior Women's Associate Athletic Director of USC Athletics. Heinel, 57, has been charged and pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, a crime carrying a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, 3 years supervised release and a fine of $250,000. New York food and beverage distributor Gregory Abbott is pictured arriving to federal court for his initial appearance in the college bribery scheme Friday. He is apparent in the case. Michelle Genove's left, and Marcy Palatella are also appearing in court Friday with 13 other parents. They were just the first of the 33 parents charged in the scheme to have their day in court in April 2017. 1 week after her official acceptance, Loughli received a communication telling him that his pledge of $200,000 to Key Worldwide Foundation, the nonprofit corporation through which Singer allegedly funneled payments, was due. The couple allegedly repeated the exercise with their younger daughter, Olivia, 19. According to friends, Olivia is not speaking to her parents and has been staying with her boyfriend since the scandal broke. The YouTuber and beauty influencer had come under particularly vicious criticism for monetizing her college life on social media while boasting of blowing off study. According to friends, her anger is only fueled by the fact that she never wanted to go to college in the first place and now blames her parents for ruining her life. And yesterday, parents already embroiled in the scandal were hit with a new threat, this time from the IRS. According to federal authorities, the way the payments were made by parents, purportedly in the form of charitable donations to Singer's nonprofit organization KWF, allowed them to write them off on their taxes. None are facing tax evasion charges yet, but if they are found to have committed it, they face severe financial penalties. In addition to paying back the taxes they owe, they could get hit at a minimum with a 20% penalty for claiming a deduction they shouldn't have. If any are found to have committed civil tax fraud, the penalty due would be equal to 75% of the amount they underpaid. Last Monday, a dozen coaches, administrators and other college staff appeared in Boston federal court and pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering conspiracy. On Thursday, Michael Center, 54, former head coach of men's tennis at the University of Texas, Austin, pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud. That same day, Rudy Meredith, 51, the former head women's soccer coach at Yale University, took a plea agreement in which he admitted to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 1 count of wire fraud. Meredith was the first of 3 key players to flip and cooperate with investigators in exposing the sprawling scam. Both counts carry a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, 36 months supervised release and a $250,000 fine. According to the terms of his plea agreement, prosecutors are seeking a prison term and fine on the low end of that scale, along with 36 months supervised release and $866,000 in restitution, approximately the sum he made from his criminal activity. He will be sentenced on the 20th of June. The stars Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giandoli spent $500,000 getting their 2 daughters into USC, according to prosecutors. Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giandoli. Actress Loughlin and her fashion designer husband Massimo are among the 3 most well-known names on the list. They have 2 daughters, Olivia, 20, Isabella, 19, and Massimo also has a son from a previous relationship. It is not clear which of their children is in college. Olivia is a YouTube star who has amounted millions of fans online, but she is also enrolled at USC, as is their 19-year-old daughter Isabella. They allegedly paid $50,000 to get their oldest daughter into USC under the guise that she was a crew coxswain when in fact she does not row crew. Felicity Huffman is accused of paying a $15,000 bribe to get her oldest daughter Sophia into USC. Felicity Huffman is best known for her role on Desperate Housewives. She is married to fellow actor William H. Macy, but he has not been charged in the indictment. The pair have 2 daughters, Sophia, 18, and Georgia, 16. Huffman is accused of paying $15,000 to have her daughter's exam proctored by Mark Riddell. Riddell was described by authorities as just a really smart guy, who would either sit tests for students, change their answers afterwards, or help them actively while they took it in one of 2 test centers that was controlled by the scheme's mastermind, Rick Singer. Huffman allegedly used the scheme in December 2017, but the indictment does not specify how Riddell allegedly helped her daughter. She considered using it for her youngest daughter, Georgia, but decided in the end that she did not need to. According to authorities, the college professors, coaches and mastermind Rick Singer. The mastermind, Rick Singer, ran the Key, a college preparation business. Singer is accused of leading the scam. He led a college counseling program and, according to prosecutors, also ran a fake charity through which he funneled bribes. The scam worked in 2 ways. He would have people come into the exam to correct students' answers, and he also then bribed sports coaches to offer them scholarships, in some cases for sports they did not even play. Singer cooperated with authorities as part of the investigation and continued taking bribes after he had been contacted by police. Some of his conversations were recorded by police who obtained a wiretap to listen in. He is facing a maximum of 65 years behind bars and has pleaded guilty on all counts he was charged with. It remains unclear if he will be given leniency given his cooperation. Rudolph Meredith. Meredith is a women's soccer coach at Yale. In his bio on the college's website, he is heralded as the winningest coach, with 24 seasons under his belt. Mark Riddell. Riddell is the director of IMG Academy, a college entrance exam preparation company. Rudolph Meredith, the women's soccer coach at Yale, left, and Mark Riddell, director of IMG Academy. John Vandemore. Vandemore is the head sailing coach at Stanford. Gordon Ernst is the head of women's tennis at the University of Rhode Island. He taught at Georgetown in the past and worked as a personal tennis coach for Michelle Obama and her daughters, Sasha and Malia, while they were in the White House. John Vandemore left. It is the head sailing coach at Stanford. Gordy Ernst was Michelle Obama's private tennis coach when she was First Lady. He is now the head of women's tennis at the University of Rhode Island. Homayun Zadeh is a professor at USC. He is the associate professor and director, advanced education program in periodontology. Michael Center is the men's soccer coach at the University of Texas. Zadeh, left, is a professor at USC. Michael Center, right, it is the men's soccer coach at the University of Texas. Donna Heinel is the senior women's athletics director at USC. She is alleged to have accepted a $50,000 from Lori Loughlin and her husband, among others, for admitting fraudulent tests. Laura Janke is a former assistant soccer coach at USC. She allegedly took payment from Loughlin and her husband for their youngest daughter. Donna Heinel, left, is the senior athletic director at USC. Laura Janke, right, is a former assistant soccer coach. Ali Khosrowshahin is the head women's soccer coach at USC. Jovanovic Wawich is the head coach for the men's and women's water polo teams at USC. Ali Khosrowshahin, left, is the head of women's soccer at USC, and Jovanovic is the head of the men's and women's water polo teams at USC. Igor Dvorsky is the president of the West Hollywood College Preparatory School, and he worked at the West Hollywood Test Center, where he turned a blind eye as the cheating happened for $10,000 at a time. Nikki Williams worked as a test administrator at one of the test centers. Singer told parents he controlled. She was a teaching assistant for Jackie Yates High School in Houston, Texas. Parents Bill McGlashan. McGlashan is a prolific private equity investor who is the founder and managing partner of the firm TPG Growth. He is also at the helm of the Rise Fund, a social impact fund he launched with Bono. Gregory and Marcia Abbott. New York couple Gregory and Marcia Abbott, 68 and 59, were also named. Gregory Abbott is the founder and chairman of International Dispensing Corp., a successful food and beverage packaging company. The couple, who have homes in New York City and Aspen, Colorado, allegedly paid a total of $125,000 to have someone take the ACT and SAT subject tests for their daughter so she could gain entrance to Duke University. Bill McGlashan and Gregory Abbott are pictured. Gamal Abdelaziz stepped down as president and COO of Wynn Resorts in 2016. He is accused of bribing Donna Heinel, the senior women's athletics director at USC, to recruit his daughter for the basketball team in 2017. According to court documents, his daughter played high school basketball but was not gifted enough to get recruited as an athlete, so he arranged for her to be one. He then made a $300,000 donation to the fictitious charity run by ringleader Rick Singer, and then made monthly $20,000 payments directly to Heinel. His daughter got into the college but never joined the basketball team. According to the documents, in a phone call with the fixer, they said, "I'm not going to tell the IRS anything about the fact that your $300,000 was paid to Donna Heinel at USC to get your daughter into school, even though she wasn't a legitimate basketball player at that level." Jane Buckingham is the owner of the now-defunct market research firm, Youth Intelligence. She sold the company in 2003. She is charged in the scheme for allegedly paying $50,000 to have someone else take her son's SAT exam in July 2018 because he had tonsillitis. Buckingham sent a handwriting sample for her son to a test taker and had him take a fake exam at home so he wouldn't know about the fraud. Court documents indicate Gamal Abdelaziz, the president and COO of Wynn Resorts, left, and Jane Buckingham, the owner of the now-defunct market research firm Youth Intelligence. Gordon Kaplan is a financial attorney and partner at the firm Wilkie Farr. He lives in Connecticut. He allegedly paid $75,000 to have Singer arrange a proctor to corrected his daughter's answers after she took the ACT in November or December 2018. Robert Flaxman is the CEO, co-founder, Crown Realty. Robert Flaxman, right, is the CEO, co-founder, Crown Realty. 2017 and 2018 by conspiring to bribe Heinel and Jovanovic, the USC water polo coach, to facilitate his daughter's admission to USC as a purported water polo recruit. According to the indictment, Elizabeth Kimmel is the former president of Midwest Television. He sold it in 2017 for $325 million. Agustin Heinous, whose family owns vineyards in Napa Valley, was also charged. Elizabeth Kimmel, of Las Vegas, Nevada, is the former president of Midwest Television. She sold it in 2017 for $325 million. She allegedly used the scheme to get her daughter into Georgetown and her son into USC by pretending the former was a tennis player and the latter was a pole vaulter. Kimmel ultimately facilitated $475,000 in payments to KWF. According to the affidavit, Toby McFarlane and his wife Christy are well known on the San Diego social and charity circuit. He sits on the board of multiple companies and the family has their own trust, but it is not exactly clear what he does. Elizabeth and Manuel Henriquez, Marjorie Clapper, Diane and Todd Blake, Isheen, Joey Chen, Amy and Gregory Colburn, Marcy Palatello, Peter Jan Sartorio, Steven Sempravivo, Devin Sloan, John Wilson, Robert Zangrello, Stephen Massaro, William Ferguson, Martin Fox, George Salcedo, Bruce and Davina Isaacson, Michaela Sanford, David Situ, Michelle Genovs, Douglas Hodge.